Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today it's a Talk About It Tuesday, and today we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit as to why I do what I do here in the shop. Remember that the premise of my channel is not so much about the projects as it is spending the day here in the shop doing whatever I'm doing, but I don't always share the rationale behind what I'm doing. And so today we're going to look at some of the projects and talk about some of the rationale that you may find interesting. Stick around. I'm Mike, and you are watching Mike R's Shop. I know that some of y'all question my sanity a lot, and that's okay. I'm used to that. But some of you recently were questioning, you were going hot and heavy on the Challenger, on the Duster, and some other stuff. Why in the world did you all of a sudden jump over and do some episodes on the 39 Dodge pickup? Well, there's a reason, and whether you listened or not, or whether I said, part of it is we need to get everything off. We've already got the front clip off and the front axle out. We need to get the cab off of this truck. We need to get this front radiator support, fender supports off of this truck, and a few other things, because I've sold the entire chassis out of this truck, and there's some urgency to get this off of there and get it gone. And well, you know, the guy wants the chassis because he's building a truck just like this. The second reason that I'm pushing on it is because I want to get the money out of it so I can use that money for other things, both on this project and here around the shop on some of the other projects that we have. I think Larry the Cable Guy summarized it great in one of his stand-up bits when he said,
"Sometimes you gotta wreck a truck to get the insurance money to make the truck payment. Get her done."
There's always some other reason going on. Sometimes it's just my ADHD and I like to bounce around a lot, but sometimes I've got such a vision ahead of what's coming that I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be ready to do A, B, and C. I may not have been clear on the Cincinnati lathe project why we were getting that done. First of all, it was because it needed to be done so the machine can be used, but I'm getting to the point on stitches that there's something that I need to do to make that 72 440 work with the 4-speed. The crank is not drilled on that motor. And in order to drill the crank, yes, I could do it by hand. We've done it before, but I thought, I've got this machine here. Let's get it up and running so we can chuck the lathe here in the crank and drill the clearance hole for the pilot shaft on the transmission so that we can press that Dakota bearing into the hub on the back of the crank. And we have the room in there for the pilot shaft to wheedle, waddle, and wobble around. Hopefully not wobble. But anyway, so that everything works properly, because right now it won't go in there because the crank is not drilled on that 440. So to that end, yes, we needed to do that. Now there's more, so come on over here and I'll explain it. In a recent episode, we had discovered that the compound slide on this lathe was rusted, rustier than a rusty thing. So we got that all freed up because I need to make some of these, those things to go into that. Boy, my brain's really good with technical terms today. So that we can have an active center here, so that we can set the crankshaft up in here, so that we can then get the supports that we need for the crank, which I can't remember the name of those today either because our brain is just wasted. So we've got all kinds of fixturing we need to do. So I needed to get the compound slide done so I could machine a couple more of these so that we could make an active center for the lathe so we could get the crank completely true and centered in the machine, and then make those things, the units you put on here to support the end of a shaft or a crankshaft or whatever, and then we can put our drill bit in here and drill into the end of that crank. And so all that needed to be done, and I needed to get this done in order to make some of these so that we could do that, and then we can do this. Now some of you would say, Mike, you're not really that close to being ready to put the engine in. Well, I'm closer than you might think. It's all a matter of timing. And the reality is I don't want a project to be stuck waiting for something like that to get done so that I can do what needs to be done next. I want to be ahead of that so I know that machine is up and running and working properly so we can drill the crank so that when we're ready to drop the motor in, all we got to do is boom, 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 and out go the lights. Okay, Mike, but why have you spent so much time working on Wanda? Well, we've got a situation. So all of our daily driver cars pretty much are broke down. The two mini Clubmans over there are both broke down. The 2013 has an electrical issue that comes and goes that I've got to figure out. The 2014 has a broken front spring and a really severely warped rotor on the front, and it needs a pair of tires. So we're in the process of getting that car back together. But Becky's Countryman, all four, quit on her about 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, and it's in the shop right now needing some very expensive repairs like a fuel pump and other things. And so literally Becky and I have been down to driving Wanda, which she's been driving, and Scoops. Now, we had to make a trip to Indiana this past weekend, so we borrowed my dad's minivan for that, and Scoops is over at my dad's, so she's driving the van. This week I'll make the swap back. Hopefully her car is done. But Becky's been driving Wanda for almost about a week and a half, and when she drives something, I'm on high alert on things that need to be taken care of, and I've done a lot to this recently to make it more dependable for her, to stay on top of it. Plus, we just want to move the project further forward. We used it all winter to haul firewood, so that's been essential for heating the shop. And so Wanda being in the mix is just my way of sharing with you in some ways kind of the stuff that comes along that interrupts some of the more fun projects that need to be accomplished. I did a video recently where I was sharing the repair of this front marker light for a 4748 Ford, and that seemed like maybe it was out of the blue. And why did I do that? Well, I did that for a couple of reasons. One, is I enjoy doing that work and demonstrating how to do really good stainless steel repair on parts that are smashed. I've got a handful more here that I need to get done that there'll be videos coming on soon. I really like demonstrating those techniques to you guys and showing you that you can do it too. But there's also a bigger reason. Part of my income right now, a large percentage of my income, is selling parts. And when I find these parts around the shop that I know I don't need, and I can fix them up and get them out there on Marketplace, that's definitely what I'm going to be doing, because without the energy of money coming in the shop, I can't do anything. The money isn't really for the shop right now. The money is for me to just pay bills. So I'm scrambling in every way that I can to try to make a buck here, make a buck there, and doing some of these little projects. And so when I come across one, I think, hey, this is a good project to demonstrate. But often behind the scenes, there's another reason, like I really need to get some stuff sold and get cash in the door. I've been getting a little bit more ahead on my videos again, so I feel like I can breathe a little bit. And there's been a few things that I decided I was going to do just for me, for fun. Projects that needed to be done that really weren't probably going to be the sexiest when it comes to doing a video. For example, last fall when Chris was here, one of the battery terminals went out on his minivan. I didn't have any new ones on the shelf in the shop here, but I knew I had a brand new one on the 47 Ford. So we went out and popped one off of there so he could get home on a Sunday morning. And in the meantime, the Ford's been sitting there all this time with no battery terminal on that side. So one day I had about an hour or two, and I thought, I'm going to dig around and find a battery terminal and get that fixed. Well, lo and behold, the 39 had a beautiful solder on brass battery terminal that was perfect. I took the cable off the 47, I brought it in the shop here, soldered it all up, put it back on the car, and that's all done. I didn't film any of that because that was just something fun for me. Was there something to learn there? Yes. But that day I just chose to enjoy the process and not worry about, talking to the camera and talking to you about what I'm doing. I just was fun to just do that. Please understand, this is not my full-time gig. Usually this is stuff that I do just on weekends. Lately, I've been trying to squeak in an hour or two at the end of the day before I have to go make dinner after my work is done. I'll come out here and do a little bit of a project or a little bit of a bite. And part of the rationale in my mind for doing things this way is to kind of give you a glimpse into, I live a life where I run a business and I have employees and I'm out meeting customers. I'm doing all kinds of stuff online with those businesses and that kind of, I'm still doing a band and we're writing music and recording music and stuff like that. And I still do all of the stuff out here in the shop that you see on camera. One viewer said to me the other day, how in the world do you accomplish everything? I accomplish everything because I stay focused on one little bite at a time. I'm definitely a macro list guy. I need to get the lists for Wanda updated here on the board. I also have another board over there that I want to create a list of all of the little projects that Becky wants me to do for various things around the homestead here. There's a bunch of them that I keep forgetting to do that need to be done. I haven't even created the macro list for the Forsyth yet, and that's one of the things I want to do today is get some of the things written down that on the big picture, like finish the hood. I know what that means. Fabricate the inner rocker panel for the driver's side. That's going to be coming real soon, I hope. Oakland needs to have the oil pan dropped and all of the rod bearings inspected and check for debris in the oil pan. Having those things written down, not in a micro form, but just in a macro form to remind me, oh yeah, that needs to be done. I need to either reassemble the current 4-speed for the Challenger that I have here, or go upstairs in the warehouse and get another one down and look it over and decide one of these is for the Golden Mullet, the other one is for the Challenger, and I need to determine which one I'm going to use where. Some of that's going to be timing, etc., etc. But it all is stuff that needs to be done. I really am starting to click off the things in my mind that need to be done to get the Challenger off of the rotisserie, which means there are dependencies. That one thing that may not even seem to be related to the project, like the lathe project, has to be done in order for that to happen. So when my head is on that, I'll get that done, which we've already done. But here's the list of projects we have, and there actually are some dependencies I'm not going to get into right now. But the GTS, the 68 Pro Street GTS, Scoops, we're using that as a pseudo daily driver. That car needs to always be in good shape. There's things that need to be done to that car. The Oakland, waiting for my dad. In many ways, he's back feeling better again and able to be out and about. He was out the other day. Fat Fanny, it's spring. We need to get that car back out on the road. That has a starter issue. Wanda, a daily, we need to keep that going. But these are all cars that are on the road. Sassy, we've kind of messed around with a little bit. Our priority projects for the summer are the 69 Charger. I'm also working on the Caddy. Beck said she'd like to use that for a daily driver because we're going to be selling her Mini, so I need to get that CTS figured out and back on the road. I've been working on it off camera. Right now, the PKS, I believe it's called, it's a PKS 3, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. It's the chip reader for the key for security has lost its programming. I need to reprogram the keys. There's a routine that you go through to do that. I may share that, I may not, but I need to get that car done, get the brake lines fixed. It's got a miss on cylinder number 6. We need to get that taken care of so that she can, and then do some body work so she can be driving that car. So this is a higher priority. Mystery number 1 is here. That's the 39. We've already talked about the dependencies there. I need to get the cab off so that I can sell the chassis so I can get the money, blah, blah, blah. Mystery number 2 is not even here yet. All I've said about that one is it's a truck. It's a massive project. That's all I'll say at that. I'm excited about that one. But here's what we're currently working on as priorities. Scoops, Wanda, the Charger, obviously Stitches in the Forsyth, the Caddy. That's our top priorities right now as far as the cars here on the board. That doesn't include the 6 or 7 dailies that we have that are almost, well, they're all broke down right now. Do I ever take a break? That depends on how you view a break. I do spend a fair bit of time watching television, kind of kicked back. Usually have my phone in my hand. I'm doing thumbnails. I'm coming up with video titles and descriptions. I'm thinking about other subjects I can do for Talk About It Tuesdays, stuff like that. So even when I'm relaxing, I'm working. Often I'm also have edited video and I am reviewing those videos and getting them uploaded and all of that stuff. So do I take breaks? Yeah. I find that, contrary to what some people think who say you need to get rid of about 75% of the projects and just focus on a couple. No, I don't. I've been doing this a long time and I need the variety, but there's also dependencies that, like I said, you're not always aware of. And so that's part of the reason why, for me, doing things in little bites is so important. I can understand maybe from a different personality type, this many projects could be overwhelming. It's not to me at all. I mean, we've been working on the Challenger since 2019, but only seriously since mid-2020. So we're coming up on 5 years of serious work on this car. And we put it aside for months at a time, but we have made huge progress. Did I have in mind I was going to have that car on the road in 2 years? Absolutely not. Did I have in mind I was going to have it off the rotisserie this past Christmas? Yes, I did. Life happens. Am I frustrated by that? No, not really. Other things come up that we have to deal with. That's life. And that's what we try to share with you here on the shop. How you can move forward using little bites, how you can move forward on your projects in spite of all the interruptions that come along in life. All right, I'm going to stop there. It's been a great Talk About It Tuesday, probably longer than usual, but this has been weighing on me for a while. I wanted to circle back around and talk about the exact point of the channel. It's not just about the projects, but also about the lifestyle that goes around doing these projects when you have this many in these circumstances, when you have no money and there are a lot of dependencies. So that'll do it. We'll catch you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe, buy some merchandise. The link is down there in the comments. And don't forget, because it's important.